little bit Buffy, a little bit Bogart. That's literally what the back of the box says for Veronica Mars, season 1. A young Kristen Bell, genius show by Rob Thomas, not the musician. It really does feel Buffy-esque, like the way they talk, the way the characters interact, the fact that the show focuses more on character than story. Like the story is there to service the characters. The characters aren't there to service the story. And I think that's important. And I think that's a thing that a lot of shows get wrong. A lot of shows have the characters there to service the plot, whatever the plot may be. But Veronica Mars seems very much like a show that was written where they took the characters and said, what do we want to do with these characters? And then they wrote the plot around those characters and those ideas. And like Buffy, it has both episodic episodes and an overarching story. So season 1 and 2 have a big mystery. And then they have individual episodes while she's slowly unraveling the big mystery. So season 1 is who killed her best friend. And it's her dad used to be sheriff of town, and he got fired because he accused the wrong person of committing the murder. But he did it because he knew they were lying and they were covering things up. And it turns out that they were covering things up, but it's not what you think. Like it's very intriguing. There's a lot of twists and turns. Definitely need to watch it. Season 2 has Joss Whedon, who I know he's fallen out of favor, but still one of, especially at the time, one of the greatest writers out there, and beloved by nerds at the time. And Kevin Smith was in it because they were both huge fans. It deals with a school bus crash. Like a school bus full of kids goes off a cliff, and who did it and why? And Veronica trying to slowly piece together that mystery. Season 3 has 2 mysteries. There's a series of rapes on the school, and then there's who killed the dean. And then it got canceled. And it gets canceled. The last episode is a sheriff race. Her dad is running for sheriff again. When Veronica gets in trouble, and it could potentially cost him the election because he maybe did some things that weren't ethical to protect his daughter. It's such a great show. And the fact that it got canceled is just, what the hell is wrong with these executives? It deserved to go on longer. So, but one thing I love about Veronica Mars is, like, once you get there, there's then 2 different directions you can go. There's the, because if you get the DVDs, they released the pilot for season 4 because they pitched a season 4 that took place a few years later. They were going to completely shift the tone of the show. Get rid of all the beloved characters. Logan, I mean, Duncan was already gone, but get rid of Logan, her dad, Dick Casablanca, Mac, like, Weevil, Wallace, like, just shift the show entirely and put her in the FBI, which would have been weird. So you can watch that first. It's not even a full episode, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting to see Veronica Mars in a completely different setting with new characters interacting and what the show could have been. But obviously that didn't happen. So then they have a reunion movie where she's a lawyer, hasn't been a detective. And it makes sense that she's on the FBI because the whole show, that's what she was aiming for. She wanted to go to Quantico and become a Fed. So then you have the movie that takes place 10 years later, and she's a lawyer. She hasn't solved any mysteries since season 3. She walked away from that life. She left Neptune. She ended up with Pez. Because, season 3, it's, does she go with Logan or go with Pez? Well, they tell us who. And then she gets called back to Neptune because Logan is accused of murder. And she goes back to help him. And it pulls you back into that world. And it's kind of cool because, and it was a Kickstarter. It was cool. Like, they Kickstarted the movie. The fact that, they were like, hey, we know you guys love it. Do you want to help out? And fans funded the movie, and it funded like that. I think that's awesome. I donated to it. And then when the movie ends, she's back. She's like, I'm staying in Neptune, and she goes into business with her dad. Because throughout the show, she works for her dad, but she's not his partner. He always makes that clear, like, I don't want this life for you. And now she's like, no, this is the life I left. This is the life I should have, and she's his partner. And after the movie, they have 2 books, Mr. Kiss and Tell and the $10,000 Tan Line. and they take place after the movie and fill in a bunch of stuff. And then they have a season 4 on Netflix. And what I love is that the season 4 on Netflix pays tribute to those books. There were things that happen in the books that are then referenced and acknowledged and built upon in season 4. So many things don't do that. They'll ignore the continuity that is outside of what you see on screen. Maybe it's because Rob Thomas co-wrote the book, so he had a heavy hand in it, but it pays tribute to that. Direct things that happen in the books are then referenced on the show. But most of my friends haven't read the books, but they've seen season 4 and they love the show. They weren't lost. So it's nothing like you have to read these books to understand what happens. It's more, if you read these books, you'll get more context. Which I thought was cool. I thought that was a nice gift for the fans. You're not alienating people who don't want to read it, but you are rewarding those who do. And I like that. I thought that was cool. Veronica Mars, one of my favorite shows. So you definitely should check it out. But I'm Jonathan. Give us legends.